folks. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of July. And today I'm going to just I've been trying to think about the amount of money that the U.S. government and the Fed are injecting into the economy. And just give you a little bit of perspective as to the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion. Because it's really something when you think about it. And we're going to do this by seconds. So if you were going to count to 1 million seconds and you started right now, it would take you 12 days, okay? 1 million has 6 zeros, and if you started right now, 1 million seconds equals 12 days. Okay, so now let's go to the next number, which is a billion, okay? And that number has 9 zeros attached to it. So if you started counting from 1 and every second you went up, it would take you almost 32 years to count to a billion. All right, so you got 12 days and now you got almost 32 years. All right, now $1 trillion or 1 trillion seconds, if you started counting now, it would take you almost 32 years. 31,709 years. That it has 12 zeros to it. So you're talking huge amounts of money. 1 trillion is 1,000 times a billion. Okay, so it's a lot of money. It's the ugly truth. I mean, really, about money. The government is just throwing trillions of dollars in like it's nothing. I mean, the GOP caps it at $1 trillion. We've already injected $3 trillion, more money and more stimulus. It's also the unemployment, and they want to do away with the 600. I know people need the 600. They talk about it being too much. They talk about it not being enough. And I guess it depends where you live in the world and what kind of job you lost. But you think about all this PPE going in, and that's just another form of unemployment, only it's helping businesses pay their people instead of the government. But actually the government is really paying the people, because without the injection into the businesses, the people couldn't get paid. So it's all kind of a farce, right? So the unemployment numbers, if you took away the PPE and the SBA loans and the EIDL loans, and you gave nothing, the unemployment figures would be so much higher. But this is another workaround. And I guess there's a lot more SBA, and I don't know, I run a nonprofit. We haven't taken an EIDL loan yet. We haven't taken the SBA loan. It says we're eligible for $45,000. I don't know anything really. Do you pay it back? Is it a grant? Is it wiped off? So I think this week I'm finally going to go talk to someone, call a lawyer, call an accountant, go visit my bank and see what we can do about that too. Because, our fundraising has been impacted a lot. I mean, I sell Tanzanian art, and as you can see, I have a beautiful painting behind me, and I sell art at festivals and events and conferences, and then there's nothing happening, especially in Massachusetts. So it's part of the phase 4. And we also run a food concession at Gillette Stadium. We get 12 volunteers to do that, and there's going to be no NFL football, especially at Gillette Stadium this year for the Patriots. So we're down. Our revenue's probably down, $60,000. And I'll put a link to our organization down at the bottom. And if you want to check it out, we sell Tanzanian coffee, and we sell some art, and we sell wood carvings, and it all goes to support our org. We also sell really funky African fabric face masks. So check it out, and if you want to support, that would be really great. So anyway, the billion, trillion, million, we'll get back to. The real debt per person. I mean, there's two things here, right? There is the real debt, and the public debt, right? The debt that they say that we have. And I think what they say we have is something like 26 point, almost $6 trillion in debt right now. It comes down to $864,000 per taxpayer. So, did you just think, are you sitting there and saying, do you have $865,000 of net worth that you can help support the government? No, many Americans don't. The real debt, instead of that 26 million, is really $132 trillion. I'm sorry, not 26 trillion. It's really $132 trillion. And it is due to unfunded Medicare, unfunded Social Security, it's publicly held debt, it's pension and healthcare liabilities, and other liabilities. Now that's on the federal level. Now you look into the state levels, and I think the states collectively are in debt, trillions, $3 trillion too. And I don't know how they get out of it. This new HEALS bill that the GOP came up with doesn't include states, and I really think it needs to include states, because states are what funds, education, the police, the fire, hospitals, a lot of public service. And how do they continue? And just think of the economic downturns that they have to start laying a lot of people off too. And it's going to happen whether we want it to or not. But I don't know, these numbers are scary. And like I said, it's going to take 32,000 years to count to $1 trillion. And it's going to take an awful lot of time. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to our dollar. I would hedge something, maybe have some other currencies. I do own some gold, and I have some silver, and I am in cryptocurrencies. So I would think about, I don't know, we have food in our basement. It's a crazy time, and if this virus continues and shoots up again and they shut everything down, I think, we're in for challenging times ahead. But anyway, that's the difference between $1 million, $1 billion, and $1 trillion, and try and figure it out. So if we have $133 trillion in the truthful debt, how many years will it take to count to that? All right, well, folks, let me know what you think. If you see anything in your economy that looks a little off, or you're noticing that, put it in the comments. If you have any questions, just ask me, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.